Before I begin, I really just want to clarify two things. Number one, this ethics hearing has nothing to do with the merits of the city administrator proposal in La Crosse. Getting into whether that was a good thing or a bad thing is really just a distraction. It's not really relevant here today. What we're here today to discuss is whether or not Mr. O'Malley violated the ethics code. And the second thing that I would just like to say before I begin is that this hearing was brought about because of an open records request that we received a lot of emails from Mr. O'Malley, but he used his county email address. So these are not his private emails. These are county emails through the county computers, and they speak for themselves, and because of that we will not be calling any witnesses today. So with that in mind, I have given you guys a packet. I've given Mr. Belzer a packet as well. You have it all in front of you of the exhibits. I categorized them through exhibits because I think it would just be a lot easier as we go forward with this hearing. And I'd first like to just talk about Exhibit A. Exhibit A is Mr. O'Malley's contract. It's really his job duty. In it you will note a few things. Number one, it states that he is to be a role model for other county employees. The second thing is...
Page and reference, please.
Oh, at the... I don't have... I didn't mark the page and reference for the role model, but it does state in there.
I'll believe you.
Okay. At the very...
Excuse me, at this point I'm going to object. Anything that's in a contract is really not the responsibility of this board. I mean, that's a responsibility of his employers, which is the county board. If there's a violation of the contract, that should properly go in front of first the executive committee, and then perhaps if they think it's appropriate, the entire county board. The only issue before you is whether there is a violation of an ethics ordinance or statute. So I would ask you, first of all, disregard anything that's in the contract.
Well, if I may be given an opportunity to respond to that. Mr. O'Malley, in his letter to the ethics board, stated, and I have that as Exhibit D, which I think is relevant to this ethics board, in which he himself put in place, wrote into the letter itself, on the second page, at the very top, yet I believe my participation in support of the referendum was simply part of my job. So the contract itself details what his job is. He put that into this hearing itself.
Mr. Cueto, for our benefit, if you could just make clear what ethics, part of the ethics code you are addressing when you give us this evidence.
Sure. Exhibit B has the selected ordinances as far as what I thought pertains the most to this hearing. I'm not going to read them word by word because I think that would probably bore everybody to tears. But they are right there. It's just one page worth.
But what I mean is if Mr. O'Malley's job description is relevant to the violations that you are alleging, could you just show, like, where does that fall under the ethics code?
Well, I don't think that's necessarily my position, is that I don't believe that his job functions entail what he did. They're not. It's not part of his job description to form a yes administrator committee, yet he thinks that it is. So what the contract states is exactly what his job is. And nowhere in this contract does it state that that is what he's supposed to be doing. Yet in his argument to this very board, he says that that does fit within his job duties. So if you're asking me where in the ordinances, where in the ethics code does it state that Mr. O'Malley, or that his job, where he's saying his job description allows him to do what he did. I guess that's pretty much my main point.
I'm just curious, what violation of the ethics code are you addressing? Right,
May I
that's what I'm
jump in?
Exhibit
for a
B.
second? When the exhibit was first introduced, I thought it was for the purpose of saying that he's violated his contract. Given Mr. Cueto's explanation about why he wants to introduce it, I withdraw my objection because I do think it's relevant in that fashion. Mr. O'Malley is going to specifically speak to that, so I think it probably makes sense to have him.
Okay. I was just asking for some clarification, so we understand as you go along, generally, I think it's very important that we know what violations you are talking about as you're going through the evidence.
I will try to be as specific as I can.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, now you have Exhibit A, as I was saying. It does say at I think duties of office on the first page, on the paragraph that's number 2. It says that the county administrator shall be the chief administrative officer of La Crosse County and shall coordinate, direct, and administer state and federal law, county ordinances, and administrative rules. So, to sum that up, he not only has to follow the ordinances, but it's actually his job to make sure that all the employees of the county also follow the ordinances. Now I was going to get to some other issues that's in this contract, but I think for the brevity of this hearing, I think I'm going to skip them. But I will just note that Exhibit B does have those selected ordinances, which I think pertain to this hearing. I'm just going to get to the bulk of really the complaint here, which is in, I've put as Exhibit C. There were other emails, there were lots of emails that detail what Mr. O'Malley's participation was in his political action committee, the Administrator Yes Committee. These are just 2 emails that I've chosen to kind of highlight just to show that he had a lead role in forming this committee. And as you will note, these come from his email, his government email address, and were found on his government computer. So this is relevant to the case. But also, you'll note that the first email details what his plan is for the committee. So he is not merely somebody who, is asked to give some advice on something, but he is the figurehead that's putting this committee together, setting its course. And the second email, you will note, was sent out Friday, 12:58 p.m. I think by all standards that's usually about work time. He sends his email to the La Crosse Tribune asking them that the editorial board weigh in and approve of the position of to vote yes on the city administrator platform. So Exhibit C, for the most part, just highlights just a couple emails out of many to show that he had a very strong involvement in the Political Action Committee, that it was done on his government computer through government email, and you have the pertinent ordinances in front of you in Exhibit B, and it says in the ordinances that that you can't engage in political activity, that you're prohibited, 3.28 political activity, subsection 2, subsection H. Political activities by employees are prohibited. Engaging in political activity on county-owned property or during work hours in such a manner as to give the impression of an official county endorsement of a particular candidate, proposal, or position, unless the county in fact has taken such a formal position. If you read through these ordinances, it's pretty clear one thing, and that one thing is that no political activity is allowed on county time using county resources.
Guilty.
So, with that in mind, I'm going to close my opening remarks, other than just to say that I believe at the end of this hearing that you will find that Mr. O'Malley is in breach of this ethics code severely. Thank you.